do a podcast. We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast.
Come? All right, I'll do my own bits myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it. Get off the road.
Hey Dave,
Hey, Boda.
why did the koala fall out of the tree?
Got nothing. Why did the koala fall out of the tree?
It was dead. Hey
Oh,
Dave.
God!
Hey Dave,
Yes, Boda.
why did the koala fall out of the tree?
Because it was dead?
Hit by a fallen koala.
Oh, God!
Hey Dave, why did the koala fall out of the tree?
I don't want this hypothetical anymore.
Peer pressure.
Hey everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
I'm very impressed that this streak has been going on for now almost half a year.
Stolen jokes are still funny jokes. And that's Dave, man. Welcome everyone.
How's everybody doing this evening? Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone can hear us wonderfully on the different mic that we've got here on the table. Again, thank you, Steve, as ever, for making sure that everything's all properly set up. And I see him listening, and I think we've got a thumbs up. Has that been muted the whole time?
No.
Okay, good.
But it's got to be adjusted a little bit.
Boater
Okay.
has so much PTSD about
I
that.
do.
Like,
I've had some good jokes
So
that were just like,
much.
nope, audio didn't come through. It's fine. Hi, everybody, and welcome. It's Nerd Glasses time, and we've got a ton of awesome stuff to talk about tonight. Dave is currently setting things up for the snack predictions. I'll be ready for that in a moment. And then, actually, Dave, I'm going to want to pass things over to you to talk about some stuff that's coming out soon, because when it comes to Twitch ban, there wasn't really anything that stuck out. Everyone kind of behaved in the last week, knowing that there's good things ahead. So Dave, tell us what some of the stuff is coming out in the next few days.
Firstly, apologies. This chair is definitely still going down, and I thank this chair for ensuring that I follow through on my 2023 resolution
We're
to eat
even
as
now.
many fucking potato chips as I possibly can.
We're even now.
Screw you, body image issues. But
I'm not staying down there. That's ridiculous.
I have some games that I'm going to describe to you as we're talking about the games, and you're going to say, but I already played a different version of this one. And I didn't do it intentionally, but literally in the span of talking about these looking at these games and things, I was just dumbstruck. So the first one is coming out on the 12th for the Nintendo Switch and Windows. It's called Dragonoka.
Okay.
Now presented live in Nerdivision. Now, Boater, this is
My shoulder's
especially
better.
a game
it's not
that
100%,
you.
but I can do that without hurting myself.
I'm glad our gimmick doesn't injure you anymore because it felt really, really bad. You live on a village on the back of a giant creature that wanders around a countryside. Where have we heard of this game before? This one boasts a verbose amount of careers and things for your villagers to do: farming, blacksmithing, fishing, sewing, cooking, etc.
Okay.
etc. This game features battle with other titans as your village does come under attack, because the reason you are on the back of this giant dragon, and episode Noka in the title, is that Titans took over the world and shit's haunted, let's move.
Moon's haunted.
Yep, Moon's haunted. Moon's haunted. And they also added the ability to make shareable created characters so that I could create a character and that character could then appear in other people's villages and things like Animal Crossing, where you get a villager, or you get an extra guest, or things like that.
Or like Stellaris, where you make your civilization and then it's able to be just
Yes.
seen by as NPCs in your game. Yeah.
Or, let's be totally honest, what was the PC creature game? Spore. You're just going to make a dick monster and you're going to try to send it to as many people as possible, and that's fine. Just remember, don't farve it, okay? Don't text it to people. Just don't. So that's Drago Noka coming out for the Switch and Windows on the 12th. Interesting game.
Yeah.
I think worth a look.
And definitely interesting to compare to, again, Wandering Village and how it does things differently.
This next game, coming out for Windows, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation 4 and 5 on the 12th, is called, ready yourself for this, Boater, Vengeful Guardian Moon Rider.
Moon's Haunted.
I know. This game is an absolute love letter to vintage gaming of the era, and it literally has game mechanics
That looks
that are
amazing.
from so many others. Now I'm going to read you a little bit of a plot because it's called a side scroller action platformer. The authoritarians conceive of a ninja warrior to safeguard their empire. But no, it rejects its programming, just like RoboCop. And Moon Rider now fights against its creators and fellow super soldiers for vengeance.
The authoritarian is very 1970s setting.
Yep.
Yeah, writing.
What I find funny is the flavor text for this game does not explain why he's seeking vengeance. Just that vengeance is to be sought. And I really might just play the game just to figure that plot point out.
Are you a bad enough dude to seek vengeance?
It's a created robot. What vengeance? Did someone murder a robot thing? Did it realize that R2-D2 was his dad and they killed him? I must know. Vengeful Guardian Moon Rider. Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5 on the 12th.
Vengeful because he realized in the year that it's coming out, in 2023, I could have been 3D, I could have been sexy, and now I'm just pixels. Vengeance! Ends up going against the developers instead. One of those really meta games.
That would be really funny. Of a lot of the games, this is the one that I probably will snag eventually and play. This last one, a little stretchy on our thin premise we've displayed.
Okay.
But this one, coming out on the 13th for Windows, PlayStation 4 and 5, and the Series X.
Okay. Interesting, not Xbox One.
I know. And I looked on the website to make sure this wasn't an oversight or an issue. Nope. It's just not coming out for the Xbox
That probably means that Microsoft was like, this isn't running on a previous gen system, what are you doing? Whereas PlayStation's like, money, please.
Or if it's on Game Pass, then they don't need to optimize it for Xbox One because it's going to be there anyways.
Yeah.
This game, as some of you may realize from seeing the visuals and things like that, is of course One Piece Odyssey. Stop me if you've heard this game before. A turn-based RPG featuring intellectual property that you really like. What I really understand is this game is coming out because Square isn't probably doing a Final Fantasy for the next couple years. And I really thought that this is what you would get. This game differentiates itself because it, inside the battles, has what's called a scramble area battle, meaning that in most games there's terrain advantages, certain characters respond to this, something other. This game's when you're fighting and in things like that, terrain will change, conditions will be different. For example, quirks that characters from the Straw Hat pirates have, such as some of them having an affinity towards the females and things like that, will affect how they fight in combat depending on the presence or lack thereof of things that they like or don't like or conditions that they have.
Okay, kind of reminds me of like Valkyria Chronicles, where some of the characters would do better when they're
Yes.
paired with certain other characters, or oops, they're racist, so don't pair them up with these.
Yes. This game, by the way, for those of you worrying at home, because it is a One Piece property, the new characters and the monsters are produced by the creator of One Piece.
Nice.
This man has somehow managed to be busier than me. I don't know how.
That doesn't
but
seem likely.
They really
buy it.
really have. The game is also, the soundtrack is being done by the person who did the soundtrack for Dark Souls and the Tales series. So for me, this checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
The One Piece part, not so much the sale for me, but the rest of it, I'm like, you know what? This looks fun. I
Yeah.
love turn-based RPGs, things like that. And damn, what a time you could be having, unless you have an Xbox One, in which case none of these games for you. None for you. Come back in a time machine. I don't have anything for you.
Well, I mean, again, it's like similar to the Cyberpunk thing of like, this really shouldn't have come out on whatever. So, and Steve, if you could bring up the trailer that I asked you to make for us, there is one more release, and that is my movie Breakdown at 238 Hypatia is, as of today, or at least today is when I first noticed it, because they don't actually bother to notify you or anything, but today I noticed that it is now available on Amazon Video to rent or buy streaming. So this movie that has been doing festivals for a year, you can watch it at home. So I don't have like a link at the moment. When I go home, I'll do all the social media posts for it, but go onto Amazon, search for Breakdown at 238 Hypatia, or just search for my name, Bugenis, should bring up something along there. You can search for his name. I think it might show up because he's one of the actors in it. So you can search for David Mann.
You will get some Tyler Perry stuff. Also good, doesn't support Boater.
Yeah, I for the past month, I've been like, if you do direct at Amazon.com, it still says submitted. Still says submitted. It says published.
That's awesome.
No, that's not where you're gonna find the movie. That's where I go to like submit the movie. So just go to Amazon, and actually, Dave looks like Dave's bringing up a link there. So yes, I'm just really excited that that's finally.
Let's see if I search Breakdown at 238.
Yep, there it is.
Hey!
It's on Prime Video.
Wow, I have second billing. It's only 99 cents to rent.
Yeah.
What a fucking steal.
Standard def is 99 cents. HD is $1.99. Buying is $2.99 for SD, $4.99 for HD.
David Carlson is
Yeah.
That's so good. I love it.
Yeah.
Is in the URL. No reviews yet. You could be the first person.
You
to review
could.
it.
You could. It's been, a long time coming to be able to share it with people, but yeah, I'm just really, really excited that that's finally out there.
Stoked as hell. I might even pay to get myself an IMDb page and then just post all the links to my Twitch shit.
I mean, your IMDb page is there. If you were to pay for anything, it'd be to like put your portrait on there, and I've considered that, but it's like $15 a month or something. Not worth it to get my picture on there. But
Yes.
yeah,
they
for
really,
an IMDb Pro account to like actually personalize your page on IMDb, it is. I mean, it's for pros.
they don't want us fucking poors having nice things.
That said, I'm kind of happy with my IMDb page at this point, so you know.
Yes! All right, so they have accidentally linked my credited appearance at 238 Hypatia to Tyler Perry's famous cohort and actor, who's, by the way, not birth name David Mann.
It's correct on IMDb, and I hounded them to get it right there. If Amazon can't be bothered, even though Amazon owns IMDb.
But look at that. 5, 10, 15, 20,
Yeah.
21! We're the 21st,
Hey!
and once that gets downloaded, it'll definitely beat some of these other...
Until he checks this, says, what the hell's this?
So, sorry, you're getting another story.
No, it's
I already
fine.
had a legal brushing with David Mann's
Oh my God.
things because I was posting on YouTube before they posted on YouTube. And I was doing stand-up comedy, which he does do. And I got a contact, and the only contact I got was, is your legal name David Mann? And I said, yes, why? And then did not receive a response since then. And I'm pretty sure it's because if it wasn't, they were going to push me out of an intellectual property.
Yeah.
But because it's my God-given name. Well, the people in Florida. You know,
Yeah.
something in the water. But yeah.
Your gator given name?
Yes.
Yeah.
My God-given Disney fought birthright name. So those are the things that are coming out in the next 7 days, including a film that greatly supports both of the members of the Nerd Glasses podcast and would help potentially pursue a lucrative contract for one of the two of us to be in future Andrew Buchanan. Just saying.
Even though it's with a hard G, and he's known me for long enough that he should know how to pronounce my name, but it's fine. I'm Boater. What's the difference?
Just trying not to out you online. Because you don't use your real name.
I mean, other stuff by real name is also there. Just saying, I dropped off 5 more copies to Northshire tonight, which makes 38 copies that I've dropped off at the store, which is a ridiculous amount. Honestly, like when I was working there, for a book to sell 30 copies from the store would have taken a lot. It would have had to be like a huge release. I was doing really well, so. Anyway, Dave, what have you been up to?
Watch a movie, read a book, get some games, and join us every week here.
I thought that was a list. Watch a movie, read a book. I was like, oh, you've been busy then.
I mean, I am always busy, but this week in particular, I played a lot of Overwatch. I'm really enjoying what's going on with that. Was really appreciative that I got a majority of the old Friday crew together again, and I was actually joined by some friends of ours, a member of their community that has crossed into mine, and they played, and we had a great time. We, of course, got a quintessential Akai melting people as Bastion, which just still hits just as good as it did from the first time he did it. Monday night played more Valheim with Lavalic, and having I love the Mistlands expansion. I really do, and I cannot accent it enough that firstly, it's so fucking hard, but it's so good. It also helps that the game now has what we are calling Mountain Dew.
Okay.
It's a mysterious, viscous, bright green liquid that we are now just calling it Mountain Dew, but it's a construction material to use for other things.
Okay, yeah, like you do.
But I'm having a great time with that. I did also, on Sunday, I was going to play more Overwatch, and then I was going to play more Pokemon, and then a little voice came to me, and it went, "It's time." And I played for the first time in 2023, it's back, baby, Death Stranding.
Wow.
And I got myself
So that's why.
I'm really glad you noticed that. I
I noticed it before the show, and I was going to say something, and then just we were in the middle of talking about other stuff.
I got the hugest slice of Kojima. I streamed for 3 hours, and I got the hugest slice of Kojima writing again, and did not even intend to. But we will, of course, talk more about Death Stranding later in the program, because I have so much to embellish on with all that we did.
Yeah.
I will say I was very proud that within 5 minutes of starting the game, I had a really nice long hauler cargo truck that I was like, I'm going to deliver between these cargo stands, this and the other. Got it fucking stuck. And then went off and did other things, and then went to go back and go get it. And the game did the thing where it's like, well, we're not rendering all this shit. It's gone. And I lost so much stuff because I got it stuck. There's a clip of it on DAM 314 where I'm sitting there for a good couple minutes just bouncing the suspension, having to accept that it's dead, sir, and it's not coming back.
I've noticed that you've uploaded a couple of full VODs onto YouTube as well.
Yes, I decided since I've been back cataloging those since if you just started a channel in the last couple of years, you don't have this compatibility. But if you started it back in my day when it was just in TV, you had the ability to combine your Twitch and YouTube, and you could just automatically send your VODs over. I have an ungodly amount of just stream videos that I have done nothing with, and they're just sitting there. Every time we celebrate like 1,000 hours streamed or followers, I break through that and we dig through. But I just decided recently, I'm like, you know what? I'm putting so much damn work into these streams. I'm just gonna post them.
Yeah.
And if people like them, great. I already immediately remembered why I didn't post too much on YouTube, because I had one person being like, when are you gonna play this game again? Like, it's a Twitch channel. Come on.
From
Like, but yeah, I've been putting the VODs up there. I might take my clips. I am following through of my 2023 resolution. One last thing that I'm up to. And I have made clips of every single stream that I've done recently. I have then proceeded to do fuck all with them, but I am making the clips as opposed to past years where just whole hours of VOD were then gone. But you will, if you follow me on social media and you don't like my voice and face, what are you doing? But at the same point, expect to see more stuff of mine in short form as well as long form.
Yay.
But, Booter, what are you watching? What are you up to?
Played a bunch of Timberborn this weekend. So just kind of picking up where I left off after a stream of that.
Nice.
Watching Willow. Past episode was again another really good one. There's one episode left to go in this season, so I'm looking forward to it. It's just a really cool kind of like, there was a really cool like training montage in it that worked really well. So I'm excited for that. And then Bad Batch came out last week, so I watched the first 2 episodes came out of that, and again I'm interested to see where it goes. It's so far not like gripping me, but it's just a couple episodes in. I enjoyed the first season, just waiting for more. And then reading, I'm near the end of Under Fortunate Stars by Ren Hutchings. And like, I normally don't talk too much about my reading on here, but this one has been really nice. Starts off with a couple ships that meet up from 2 different time periods, and then does regular flashbacks going back, to, before they had met in this weird time rift. And each one kind of explains something that's coming up, or like explains something that just happened, and how all of these weird separate things kind of came together and how they all got there. I'm really enjoying it. Again, that is Under Fortunate Stars by Ren Hutchings. I am almost done with it. So
Nice.
that's what I've been doing.
Oh, this chair's gone.
Hold on. Hold on. Switch.
No.
Nope.
I'm going to use.
Yes.
I'm going to use the stool.
Oh, you're using the stool. Okay, that's fine.
The
I was gonna go
stool
get one
that
of the purple chairs.
confused a whole bunch of people when it appeared at the old store in the Aviation Mall.
I'll sit in that chair for the shaft.
Steve, you're going to disappear. The problem is
Dave, you keep drifting further that way. Steve already had to uncenter our camera because you keep going.
Yes. I love it. Drag my fat ass, Boater. Gentle now. I'm fragile. The guy with
What's our first topic?
The guy with the injured shoulder, by the way, dragging the heaviest broadcaster on Insane Games TV. I love it. So, in usual storyline fashion, actually, before we do that, we have 9 minutes left on our poll, and holy crap, you people have voted. I put, it's either the mystery
first
box
second.
or the mystery box with a beverage. 92% of you have already voted.
The
with,
first second, there was 50,000 dropped on with beverage.
Fucking rancid. I need a new drink.
If the beverage is Pilk, I'm not drinking it. My New Year's resolution is I'm not touching more of that shit.
We don't have any Pepsi as far as I'm aware, so you're safe.
I don't trust you. You,
You know what's
say
even-
whatever you want.
You know what's even funnier? Not once has Steve brought in the ingredients for Pilk, and yet Steve gets all the blame for the Pilk. Like,
Because he's the one that's like, yum, pours it on himself, loves it.
Speaking of things Steve has created, did Steve menace you with the most recent concoction he tried?
No.
It was all also rancid, but I had to finish it because I had to finish the fucking orange juice and strawberry syrup.
Orange juice and strawberry syrup.
Orange juice and strawberry syrup.
It's supposed to taste like a Skittle.
I would try it, but I feel like the acidity and the sweetness would do bad things.
He, by the way, booted up a cup of that shit as we were having the Insane Games company meeting and all hands on. And here comes Steve. I had Twizzler, so I have no leg to stand on with, like, decorum. And here comes Steve with this awful concoction. And poor Dan trying so hard to, like, bring this thing to order. And he literally goes, "Do I want to know what's in that cup?" And I looked, and I did the line from Atlantis with, like, "I know," and he told me. And now I'm telling you, you don't want to know. And I'm always really excited that I get our ability to squeeze that line in real life. You should always stay for the Boater and Dave snuggling. It happens more often than we are able to allow to admit, because otherwise Twitch TOS gets fat. No. In usual fashion of programs that we talk about, some of our friends... Vladdy, are you tired of having 3 things for breakfast? Now I've invented... or bake cake juice. I'm gonna time you out. I'm gonna time you out for 10 minutes. That's enough out of you. You've had too much, and I can't time him out from here. All right, fine. Now with extra eggs, you have the shot, Steve. Take it.
Steve, we have the baseball bat, right? Go time him out.
But
Physical bat hammer.
Ferb, I know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. This program got straight off the rails and now just continues unflinchingly and not slowing down away from the topics. In usual fashion, we like to cover some of the successes of the gaming industry as well as some of the other ones, but we do want to give you guys an alert that a new game company is on the horizon.
Ooh.
Forza 5 creative director Mike Brown has left the Xbox Playground Games, one of the developers of the Forza franchise and things like that, and he left on amenable terms with a bunch of the team because their contract was up and there was renewal options and all these things, and they wanted to pursue and form Maverick Games, where they, across the pond in jolly old England, are going to be making a focused AAA open world game for consoles and PC. Is all the information they have given us about it right now, but that in and of itself is quite the chestnut to unpack and a really tough thing to tackle as, hey, our studio's just getting founded and we're going to make one of the biggest and most unwieldy projects you can.
Well, I mean, Playground was doing Forza Horizon, which is an open world game. So they certainly have the experience with it. At this point, when I hear open world, I don't get excited. I just go like, oh, again, okay. Like, it's not an exciting thing to say anymore that you have an open world game.
What I picked out from the conversation is it's open world cross-platform from the get-go. The intention is that both PC and console players won't have to wait 6 to 8 months for someone to break and finally Microsoft patches it and then Sony begrudgingly goes, fine, I guess we'll do it too. Like,
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
so Maverick Games, welcome to the world, and we look greatly forward and with eager eyes to what projects you bring to us. Don't do NFTs.
Don't do NFTs. Don't be Logan Paul, who made a game called CryptoZoo with a whole bunch of people that do crypto NFT stuff. And then it came out that CryptoZoo was in fact scamming people. People like would hatch an egg for a creature and then there would be nothing in it and they were out the money and then the money devalued and then his entire dev team ran away with the money. And there was an investigative YouTuber that had tried to get in contact with him to comment on a story he was doing. He didn't respond, so the YouTuber just released the story, and then he was like, that's not fair doing that. Well, here's my side of the story. Yeah, they're scammers, but it was their fault. I just hired the scammers and thought that nothing else was going to go wrong.
Ignorance is not a defense of... Damn
And
it.
so, I mean, like, it's Logan fucking Paul. Of course, anything he does, he's going to look stupid in. but like, good job. You can add NFT rug pull to your resume.
I feel like it's cursed anytime we mention the Paul brothers on this program. But damn, sometimes do they just really want it that bad. We don't mean to give them the nerd glasses bump because fuck both of them. But
Instead, we'll give it to sorry, Dudekris. Who was the YouTuber that had done the investigation?
CoffeeZilla.
CoffeeZilla.
hell
right.
yeah.
So we'll give the plug to them if you want to check out his investigative reporting. It is on CoffeeZilla. Check that out, and other awesome stuff that he does. So that's who we'll give the bump to.
Oh yeah. You know when you're going to have a bad time when you work on something really hard and then you decide not to work on it, and then they finish the game and they release it and then they don't put you in the credits of the game?
That very relatable thing that all of us has gone through. Yes, Dave. Sure.
Multiple former striking distance employees were left out of the credits of the Callisto Protocol. And not like game tester devs that were employed for like a week or a month
Yeah,
or one
or that,
session.
like,
These are
yeah.
people that had full 12+ month careers working and spending over a year or time on this.
Probably crunching.
Absolutely crunching. One of the head of the project, the less successful of the two, as we
Dead
talked about
Space,
last
yeah.
week, basically one time like essentially tried to humble brag about the fact that his employees were working flat out so hard. And he was like, crunch isn't real, but the grind is. And everybody literally was like, you really don't understand the tone of what you said. And then he deleted the tweet and was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything like that. But people are the people who are left out of it are claiming favoritism, widespread
cool.
industry distrust, and things like that. And
The thing is that like game credits are so long. Like I would understand. So like the same thing happened with movies. Like in the early days of movies, let's say 30s, 40s. Like if you watch Wizard of Oz, not everybody that worked on that movie is in the credits. Mostly opening credits and whatever. And there might be some stuff at the end. I don't know. I haven't watched Wizard of Oz in like at least 15 years. But the point is that like the style was opening credits that take 3, 4, 5 minutes listing all the major players. And then that was basically it. The blockbusters of the 70s were the first ones that, like Star Wars was a huge thing that there were no opening credits. But it was the end credits and everyone, it started to get to the point where everyone was in the end credits. And 90s video games would be, the main people that worked on it, not that teams were huge.
Yeah.
But now, if I do a Let's Play, if I want to sit through the credits, I better make sure that I'm ready to just talk about anything under God's green earth for 25 minutes for Mirror's Edge Catalyst credits to finish.
if I ever get the opportunity to write the soundtrack for a video game, I absolutely want the credits to be as long as fucking possible, and you have to listen to that final score that I made, where I do just a blip of every single song that have been in the game.
But so the point is, as long as the credits were, these guys were still left out.
Yep. And in something that, again, when you go to Marvel movies, you expect that there's something at the end of the credits. So you do sit through the credits and you kind of digest the film, and then you watch whatever's after it.
Yeah.
Video games, you just leave the fucking room. The game doesn't go on during the credits and all these things. And
Or you press the button for skip credits.
A lot of video games, and I respect the video games that put an achievement if you watch the credits. I do. I respect
It's been a long
those.
time since there's been one of those.
Like,
when they were
and
like, what do we do with these achievement things? Like, I 100% in Need for Speed Most Wanted because the achievements were only for each of the 15 blacklist people, and that's it. That was your full 1,000 gamer score. So yeah, around the same time, they're like, oh, here's 10% through the credits.
Jesus.
So the fact that these kind of like optional things that people might skip or not pay attention to anyway, you still can't be bothered to put their names in there. Shame. Shame. Dave, I'm not ready to talk about that one yet. Give me something else.
Well, rumor has it on the internet, it's going wild, and we don't need conspiracy baseball because unfortunately it doesn't involve my personal hero, and yours. But remember how everyone was up in arms about the fact that the Game Awards happened? They were in the Microsoft Theater, and
Microsoft didn't have a whole lot of
Microsoft
like,
really didn't
announcements
have
yet.
shit to do with it.
Yep.
There's rumor going around
Oh boy.
that on January 25th
Okay.
at noon Pacific time,
Okay.
Xbox and Bethesda are going to be having a developer direct that's going to cover Minecraft Legends, one of the titles Redfall that they haven't really established, and some Forza Motorsport news and things like that.
Nice.
Now, I give credence, and this is one of the first stories that, to be totally honest, it's just Twitter. There's no, like, it's a person who breaks a lot of news on industry, things like that. This is a little bit too specific to say, well, sometime in the next 6 months, we're going to have, they said January 25th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm like, okay, they really must have heard something, and they know they usually announce these things like a week or two in advance anyway. So we're 3 to 4 weeks out from that, depending on what your work week looks like. I look forward to that one. I don't look forward to the fact that it's on a Wednesday night. But I do look forward to seeing all the things that Microsoft has for the coming year. And
because
when am I getting my next Elder Scrolls game?
There's been Nintendo Directs. There was PlayStation State of Play. And Microsoft really doesn't make like an event out of it in the same way that Nintendo and PlayStation do. But it'll be interesting. I kind of hope that they do start to lean into doing that a bit more, just for like their publicity's sake. So, do you have any others that you really wanted to?
This one's more of one of those, everybody break out your world's smallest violins, and don't play them yet, but just break them out. Planet Coaster dev Frontier. You may also remember them from other games and things like that.
Elite Dangerous, yeah.
They had a 40% share drop.
Okay.
No. And the orchestra swells when they talk about how F1 2022 manager put them in an inverse and adverse
that was
conditions when they
Frontier.
announced that they weren't going to be doing any DLC for it. This is the same company that 2 years ago, when they made Jurassic World 1, you know, the park builder game?
Yep.
And then less than 6 months later, they made Jurassic World 2. And that one didn't outperform the first one because people, you know, didn't really want to buy the second exact same game that they just bought 6 months prior.
I definitely didn't buy the second game.
But
I still
they-
have the DLC on my on my wish list and haven't picked that up either.
But they did say in a you can stop your world's smallest violin now, because in a small amount of awareness, they did say that these things are potentially due to player price sensitivity increasing relative to worsening economic conditions.
Okay.
They're in the house now of the problem that they have every year. Because I looked at some of the Frontier games, and they come out at a premium and minimum of $50 per installment, per game,
Yeah.
and things like that. I like F1. I like watching it. I love watching CJ and Steve race on it. Twitch.tv/CJ Playmaker. But I don't want to play F1 22 Manager. And I definitely don't want to spend $60 on a game that I really don't want to deal with the logistics of. Why then would I pay for a yearly episodic installment of it? Like, it's $35 now, says Dude Chris. I may pick it up.
Yeah, the thing is, so the only Frontier game that I've really played was Elite Dangerous. I did play Jurassic World Evolution for a bit, but like I keep on forgetting that that's Frontier. No, they develop good stuff. Their stuff is solid.
Yeah, no. That's the
F1
worst part.
seemed a little
it's
odd
not shovelware.
Yeah, and like for the most part, I'm fine with their pricing, whatever. Like F1 seems a little odd, but then again, like people that are into F1 are into F1, but they got to realize the size of that market, would limit its reach.
And then to announce, because remember, this was a topic we talked about, to announce less than 4 months after the game comes out, yeah, we have no more major expansions for this. It's like, but racing motorsports especially are a living, breathing thing, season in or season out.
Yeah.
Sponsors come and go. Drivers retire. Drivers rise in fame. Drivers get themselves fired and will never be mentioned ever again. But your game's not going to be mentioned.
True.
Game's not going to patch it. So, Frontier, you're getting closer. You really are. I was really afraid that you were going to miss the point. But you got into it and you managed to really sink it in there with the news.
All right, Dave, I think I'm about ready to start talking about Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast? I know about Wizards of the Coast.
Dave, what Okay. Dave, hold on. I gotta. Are you
Get behind
good?
me,
Are you
Boner.
good? Ah! Where did they come from?
Turns
Well,
out,
Hi.
turns out we have glasses too.
Oh my gosh.
As I live and breathe, if it isn't Joe and Amy of Geek for All.
Well, hello everybody, and obviously thank you guys so much for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well,
This
we
is
really,
just such a fun topic.
we really couldn't talk about. Well, I mean, let's be totally honest. The last time we talked about major intellectual property shitting on their fandom was when I ripped up my Overwatch flag and you guys were helping host.
Sure,
So it felt
Yeah.
apropos
Yeah.
that we should at least, while you're flying your flag, that you should be able to come talk to us because, Boder, do you do weekly Magic the Gathering streams?
I do not.
Oh, I don't either. Joe, do you at youtube.com/geekforall do weekly Magic the Gathering streams?
We just had one last night.
Oh.
Every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we do.
Do you open Magic the Gathering products, which is made by Wizards of the Coast, the same people that do the Dungeons and Dragons stuff?
Do I? No.
Oh, I don't either.
No.
But Joe and Amy do over at youtube.com/geekforall.
We sure do. We sure do.
So you have something of a history and knowledge and vested interest in the company Wizards of the Coast.
We sure do. Yeah, and I mean we also play D&D. That's not
Yeah.
part of our like content creation.
Right.
It's I mean we would
But-
love
but-
to someday, but
Yeah,
but
so-
Magic definitely for sure.
Yeah, so like you're definitely you're aware of D&D as well, and Wizards running that, and then do you guys want to take it away?
Running was a really apt word that I'm very excited you chose. Firstly, thank you very much to Valai the Rando
For sure.
for tagging literally all involved in this screen
table.
Yes.
in this discussion and bringing it to our attention and especially to forefronting it. Our news content doesn't happen without you folks as well, so thank you very much. So Wizards has been treating. Their track record is so sterling with all the properties that they have, where they've treated their player bases so well.
Yeah, so the main crux of the story at this point in time has to do with what's known as the open game license, which is something that existed for Dungeons and Dragons. I believe it was called the Open Game License 1.0A, which was what existed for D&D 5e or 5th edition, and now they're moving towards 1 D&D, which is kind of 6th edition, but they're
Yeah.
not calling it that.
They're updating rules and such
Right.
like that. It's a new edition, but it's the thing where they don't want to keep going with numbers.
Yes.
So it's the Xbox One.
Yeah, I was going to
Call
say, yeah,
it-
exactly.
no,
Yeah.
beat
It's Tomb Raider, not the 7th Tomb Raider
Yeah.
game. That's a
Yep.
reboot.
It's
Yeah.
God of War.
Yep.
You
God of
know,
War,
the
yeah.
new one.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the old God of War.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
call it D&D 720 and satisfy the internet to no degree. Like, you
Yeah,
would
yeah.
win so many awards by looking at Microsoft going, we're calling our new expansion the 720.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So-
because D&D had basically, or Wizards of the Coast had basically announced that they were going to be changing the open game license or changing their policy around, and they haven't officially done it yet. But because of the fact that some people were a little upset, because I guess I should,
Yeah,
I
because,
guess I
like,
should
so
say,
like they haven't publicly released the OGL 1.1.
correct.
But I think that some of the partners were given copies of it so that they could prepare. Right?
And
That's how
and
it
now
leaked.
and now we have seen it. What?
Steve just
What happened?
Only 20 seconds.
Vladdy posted
You timed him out.
that was our producer Steve. He just what did Vladdy post? Can you still see it on there?
It was
Sorry, while you guys were
It's
talking, Vladdy posted basically something along the lines of like, "Thank you, sir." He basically posted something to the effect of like, "Have you ever felched your fan base and undone all of your goodwill like Hasbro has?" And of course, that's when Steve took the shot.
Hasbro.
Because I Hasbro. Oh, get back in there.
Back in the penalty box, 2 minutes.
Amazing. Amazing.
Is Ampamod on this channel?
Amp is not a mod. Have you ever attempted to take everyone's money, but instead irreparably damaged your reputation?
Gotcha.
to quote, and then he answered with Hasbro, because I Hasbro.
Nice. Very nice.
Wow.
I want a little more space.
So we talked about
Flatty for another
Flatty.
Jesus.
How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man?
I need like a little whistle so we can just put them in the penalty box. Okay,
All right,
so OGL 1.1.
Has not officially released, but there has been a leak. Now, I guess at this point, so I was saying at this point, technically, we don't know that that is exactly what the Open Game License 1.1 is going to be, but
Well,
because
it
it's been trending online for like
A few days,
over
yeah.
80 hours, like 4 days, like all weekend and yesterday and today, I would hope that the company would have stepped up at this point and been like, that's not real, or we don't know where that came from.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
please stop like talking about that as our official material.
It feels like one of those things where like you leak something that is going to get negative reaction and you see how much negative reaction.
Yeah.
And when there's so much backlash, you say, hey, just kidding, we're going to scale that back.
Amy
just
was
a little."
literally talking about that on the way over here for sure.
Yeah.
And so basically, I will summarize very heavily, and please feel free to go read the text for yourself because I'm not being exhaustive in any capacity.
Today I did see that the full text of what was leaked has been dropped, so it is
Yes.
easy to look up and read for yourself.
Yes, and in fact, we were tagged with Valai
Yes.
tagged us in that text as well. But essentially, what Wizards of the Coast is trying to do is to say, hey, D&D 5th Edition had a lot of people making a lot of content that was 5e compatible, and they made a lot of money off of that, which we didn't get any of. Like, people bought the books from us, and that's it, right? Then that's kind of the end of it.
The expensive hardcover, not able to be gotten in many other forms. You can get them in digital. I know.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want to flip my
Yep.
books while I play.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, so that happened, and so Wizards of the Coast was like, we need money because, by the way, right, we're Magic the Gathering content creators. From the Magic side of things, Wizards has been doing this for a while, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But what they're doing with D&D now is they're saying, oh, well, you guys are making a lot of money off of our content, so hey, with this new Open Game License 1.1, if the text is what it is to be, if you make $50,000 a year or more from our content, you have to tell us that you make that money and tell us how much you make. If it turns out
the
that
Wizards Revenue Service needs to know your income.
yeah,
Which
which is like real weird, firstly, but then
It's real sketch is what it is.
yes, but then on top of that, if you make $750,000 or more off of our IP, we will be taking 25% of that from then on.
Wow.
Once you reach that threshold,
Yeah.
What's the we start getting some of your money becomes some of our money number again?
750K. So you have to report.
We're so close.
We
We're
have-
so close, but we're not there yet. And
so
we like
so you
we-
have to report at 50,000 and above, but you don't have to start giving up anything until 750K and above. But it's an open game license that is owned by Wizards and that they can change at any time. And so what some people are afraid of, upset by, and concerned for is the fact that at any time the company could go, wow, you know, these 5 companies, let's say, make over $750,000 off of our IP.
They're taking aim at Critical Role.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm saying, right? Like, there are not a lot of companies that are going to get hit by that. There are.
When they made the OGL originally, it was like they meant for like printed supplements.
Yep.
Was what it was meant for, but the language was totally applicable to video content.
Yep.
To to so many other things.
Yeah.
And so the current OGL that is 5th edition, I think there were like versions of something before that. I'm not sure, but I know that like Knights of the Old Republic basically used the D20 SRD.
Yeah.
Right. Way back in the day.
Yep.
Like this kind of thing has been around for a while, and they've okay, I guess we're not getting that money.
Yeah. And I mean, people were literally printing books that said 5e compatible, like I was talking about, which blatantly is, by the way, this is a D&D thing that like we're making, but we get all the money and Wizards gets nothing. And
Yeah,
so
and it was part of the license that you can say that it's compatible with whatever, but here's what you can't put in it. This
Yep.
is what has to stay in our things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like, and I don't know definitively what the original one said, but I imagine it's like, please don't release Beholder merch that has the art from our book on it or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's just blatantly against copyright law. Like, that's just,
I don't know how the 5th edition to OGL dealt with it, but I had the Stargate RPG that used the D20 SRD.
Sure.
And it didn't have character generation details in it because it was expected that you would have a D20,
Sure.
an official D20 book
Sure.
as a supplement to it. Or
Yeah.
rather, that Stargate was a supplement too. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. So my take, I don't want to speak for you. My take on the reason for this, and that we had him for such a long time. Back in 2016, I looked this up. Back in April of 2016, a gentleman by the name of Chris Cox became the CEO of Wizards and/or Magic's wing of Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering's wing. He came from Microsoft, and they brought him in to head up Wizards of the Coast. And you'll notice
Came from Microsoft.
he did come from Microsoft.
Just think about that for a smidge of a sec.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice around 2017, 2018, 2019, etc., Hasbro starts getting real excited. They're like, oh my God, Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering is making so much money. It's just amazing. Hand over fist, we're bringing in money from Magic the Gathering. They're doing really great stuff over there. And so in January of 2022, about a year ago, do you know who became the new CEO of Hasbro? Chris Cox.
Is it Scott Cawthon? Is it Scott Cawthon, right?
Chris Cox, the old CEO of Wizards of the Coast. They decided, they were like, you know what? You're great. How about you run our whole company?
Interesting.
He went from Wizards/Magic to Hasbro itself. And so
And
now...
and you're great doesn't mean you've done a good job. You've come up with great ideas.
Yeah, it's you
all
made
these
us money.
things.
Yeah,
It's we made money when you were in that. shit.
Mini.
And it literally said, it's kind of sad. The old Hasbro CEO passed away in October of 2021, and Chris came in January of 2022.
Yeah.
And has been there for a year, and it's just the same way that it was with Magic. It has started coming in here as well.
So there's other terms of the new OGL that people find, troublesome. And some of that is that it limits exactly what can be made with it. Like whether it's supplements or, video content, gaming, whatever. There's a lot more limitations on what you can make with it. And then Love Alec in chat is pointing out that one of the things was that Wizards reserves the right to, you made something under this license, we can use it. And we can make money using it.
That is the thing that frustrates me to no end, because they don't have to credit you. It's theirs. When you make it, they own it. They can reproduce it into places that you can't.
Yep.
And they don't have to credit you for having created it.
And that's the kind
That's
of thing
the worst part.
That I've seen that kind of thing before when if you enter an art contest for something, then they have right to use your art for promotional purposes with or without crediting you, whatever. And it just kind of feels like
Wizards, especially with Magic, has never had a stolen art crediting issue, not once. And if you look up stolen art Magic the Gathering, there won't be thousands.
Hold on, this is off topic, but guys, has there been AI art featured on Magic cards yet?
No.
Okay.
It's too
They
soon.
pay
Magic
too
stuff,
much.
Well, but the stuff that Magic is making now, right now, the stuff that is being developed by Wizards of the Coast at this moment in their offices probably won't come out till 2025. So AI art is too soon, where if that is something that they would consider, we probably won't see that for another year or two.
Yeah.
At least. At
Okay,
least.
sorry, that was off topic.
No,
but I just
absolutely.
needed
No.
to ask.
No, it's fair to ask.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because the day they do start printing AI cards, I'm going to buy not that set around the AI art, because you know what it will do? It will send a message. Because when sets in Magic the Gathering are not well liked, you have never seen a plot thread and material disappear so fast from the shelves and from the zeitgeist. I have never seen Jace's storylines take such a sharp fucking 90-degree turn because they're like, we're going to do nope. Like, all of a sudden, one day, Jace Bellerin's like, no, I don't. Like,
Just you wait, the new Magic story comes out Thursday, and you'll get to see Jace in the new story, whether you want to or not.
but I don't want to see him.
I'll tell you after, because
We've talked about this. Well, more specifically, I've yelled at your YouTube reviews about it going, stop! He's already dead!
yeah, I'll tell you off camera because I don't want to talk about leaks on camera, but there have been leaks for the Magic story. I'll tell you off camera about what's going on there. But
So I did like that they went through and they released like a, hey guys, Open Game License 1.1 intro. As more, it's more of a leak, but it is more clarification on things. And I love that they essentially went, these are the plans and this is what we're going to do to you. And they wanted to start putting in legalese to how you, the content creator, are going to be approached by them so that you might find yourself and your non-commercial use of SRD content or your commercial use of SRD content so that they can differentiate and then in potential back pocket to change what definition of that is. Because once it's commercial at this dollar amount, well, it's also commercial at this dollar amount with this amount of distribution and this dollar amount with this amount of fandom and this and that and this.
And we talked about this when 1D&D came out, that it seemed like something that was trying to like bully aside Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, which is also stuff that, like, you know, Roll20 has stuff in there just in the compendium to make it really easy to play the game.
Yep.
And people to be able to create their own games out of it.
And so
Like,
not just 1D&D being an official like alternative to it that would bully the others out because it's the official whatever, but also now this legalese that is trying to like push out that kind of stuff as well, or at least to say like, all right, but you're giving us a piece of the pie. Yeah.
Yep.
And so like the one question that I had because Joe, you are, as they say, a lawyer, or you at least deal with the law.
I sure do. Yeah.
And that is that in the OGL 1.0, there was talk about I know that the term in perpetuity was used, and so stuff created under that. First off, do content creators have any chance in hell of saying, "Oh, I'm making stuff under this version of the license and not the new version"?
So according to this gets a little muddy in my own memory.
Okay, this is interpretation and not hard fact.
Oh,
Don't use this in court.
I can't give legal advice here, and I will not. So just FYI, nothing that I'm saying is legal advice. But
This is opinions and interpretation.
yes, but I will say that the statement that Wizards made before this leak came out, they were saying, oh, well, you could always just say that you're doing stuff under the old thing. But people who have read the leaked version of 1.1, it is basically like superseding and getting rid of 1.0a. So you can't make stuff under that anymore because it would automatically fall under 1.1 and not 1.0a. So whereas they're saying, oh, well, you could just ignore it. Yeah, sure. Until they sue you. Like, you know, like, so sure, you could ignore that paperwork that's there that they then, until you get that paperwork
Until you get
at
the
your
paperwork,
door.
yeah.
Like,
And then the follow-up question is that, like, okay, so if someone made a product under OGL 1.0a, and, okay, so they can't keep developing, otherwise it's going to fall under 1.1.
seems that way.
But if they haven't changed it at all and they're still just selling it, would it still fall under the old OGL because they haven't developed it anew for it?
And so what Amy and I were talking about kind of in the car ride on the way here is that I think the nice thing, because this ain't nice, but the nice thing,
this overline,
the nice thing about the fact that they're only talking about people that make $750K or more for people that they're going to be trying to dip into their pockets of is that those companies that make that kind of money hopefully will be able to handle litigation. Because that's what it's... I imagine that there are not going to be many companies that are just going to turn out their pockets to Wizards of the Coast happily without at least going to court and saying, okay, let's discuss this. Let's see whether you have a right to take my earnings from your content because, and again, not legal advice because I don't have the information on me right now, but we were talking about this. Fair use exists. And if you make content that is transformative among other prongs, you can use that and make money off of it without the original IP holder coming for you and saying, well, that's ours now. But you have to meet those prongs, and this is a little bit of legalese, I suppose, still not legal advice.
Yeah.
But fair use is what's known as an affirmative defense. So I guess the most common form of an affirmative defense that I can think of is self-defense. So if someone is trying to hurt you and you hurt them back, or someone is trying to kill you and you kill them back, you are using self-defense.
Not legal advice.
Never. Not. But that's you're
An example
asserting
of.
you're asserting self-defense.
Yeah. So in here
But-
they would come in and be like, "Oh, you're using our trademark, our copy, whichever."
Yeah.
And you say your defense is that it is under fair use.
Fair use. But
Yeah, but the problem there is that you have to go to court about it. You don't get to just be like, fair use, guys, what the heck?
Yeah.
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 It's not a cover letter you can just send
it
out.
goes to
I have
court.
fair use, period.
Yeah, exactly.
Goes to court,
Yeah, yeah.
It's got to go before a judge and or jury that are, open to that defense.
And that's
on that
after
case by case.
Right. And that's after however many months of paperwork back and forth,
Yeah.
your attorney filling out paperwork, and I can tell you, typically lawyers ain't cheap, right? If they're working on a contingent basis, sure, but if you're not getting your legal fees covered, that's expensive. And so if that number from 750K went lower to 250K or whatever it might be,
Now you're asking people who can't afford to do this
Yeah.
to go to court because you want to make a little bit of money off of what they make.
with the backing of
Because
Hasbro and their
you
in-house
made it.
team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying I'm hoping, right, that the big companies that they're going after initially will be the ones to litigate this so that if and when it's determined that this is too overbroad and illegal, because as I believe Alec pointed out, it's just theft at that point. And so if it's determined that it's just theft, where they're like, oh, well, we made that, or that's ours now, we're taking it. If that's theft, the courts will determine that it's theft. You will get your money back, and they will have to completely revamp their document because it won't be legal to do.
So they'll have to redo this again, basically.
Right. If they don't do it just from this backlash, which, good God, they should do it based on this backlash.
That's-
More than just like players and such. Love Alec pointing out that a lot of the companies that create this content have already had their legal teams send letters to Wizards.
Good.
When it comes in on like law firm letterhead and all
Yep.
that, yeah.
Yep.
Like the one I'm looking forward to is we know that there's a Knights of the Old Republic remake underway, and I mentioned how the original game worked under basically D20.
Sure.
And I wonder if the back end it does anything that pulls from the SRD.
Sure.
And so all of a sudden, Disney says, "No, we're not giving you 25%."
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's
I'll
and
be
actually
real
that's true.
worried if
Some
in the-
people were talking about that with Disney specifically, like that Disney would hopefully be the ones to come in if necessary and slap them down a little bit and be like,
if
"Get
in the
outta
next
here."
calendar year, you know what's going to happen if this is what ends up happening. Disney's not going to do that. They're just going to buy Hasbro.
No.
They're gonna, or
No,
they're gonna have.
David.
They really are.
Don't give them ideas.
having. They just have the mouse come and buy it. They literally walk in and go, "Wow, that's some nice Megatron shit you got there. Too bad it's gonna be ours now." And that, by the way, is how you're gonna get Mickey Mouse in Universal Studios.
I was saying, I think it'll be funny if if Hasbro really needs money, maybe they can just
The mouse always knows. Soon, Steven Dragon, we will all be owned by the mouse.
hopefully, if Hasbro really needs more money that badly, hopefully they can just sue Elon Musk for that Optimus Prime robot that he made recently. I don't know how the hell you named it Optimus Prime, and so hopefully Hasbro can use their law team for something more
Fair
more appropriate. Yeah.
all the Tesla lawyers go.
No.
You know what? That might actually get the public to be happier with this.
You guys know very well they're not going to sue Elon. They're going to release a limited time, exclusive, secret release
Secret layer.
of a card that bears a striking resemblance to Elon does. It'll be the first actual physical, tangible Cybertruck you'll get your hands on. Bam! I said it.
We just had the Brothers War that had Transformers cards in it. It
Yeah.
just happened.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Secret Tunnel Mickeytron. Oh God. We've managed to take something awful and now we've spun it into just awful incarnate.
yeah.
I am going to really quick step away while you guys please continue to talk about
Sure.
the how do you guys feel this might affect your content creation both in YouTube and in the fact that you guys do lore content that Wizards of the Coast owns and things like that, because all they have to do is turn their attention about 4 degrees from we own this to hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like, there's definitely an issue of feeling like things are going to become a slippery slope very quickly. You know, if they're allowed to do this, what else is, what's next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be, like he said, maybe it's going to be we can't, do videos where we review the stories anymore.
Yep.
Or whatever it is.
Or like even just our thumbnails with the art from the cards with
Right.
our faces over top,
Yeah.
like reacting to it or whatever. It, like
Right.
that, if they were to turn around and say, well, that's our IP, you can't use it.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
And like you can make the argument that it's transformative enough under fair use and it's commentary and all that, but again, court.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then meet us in court and say that it is. It's like I'm not that good, unfortunately. So I would have to get an actual attorney as opposed to whatever. So
Well, it's you don't have to say. I don't know what area of law you practice in, but it's let me get someone who's specialized. in this.
yeah, sure, yeah. Or who has their own shit or
Tangent.
whatever.
Do lawyers make good clients? Are you going to decline to answer?
I that's an interesting question. I would say it depends on the situation for sure. It depends on the situation.
Why is there milk, Dave?
Well, because people nicely voted with their channel points
For the drink as well?
for the mystery box with beverage. 92% voted 56,000 channel points.
Wow.
Congratulations. By the way, your channel points that you are winning today will absolutely be in play tomorrow when, on the weekend Wednesday, we play Cult of the Lamb. We're able to use channel points to kind of help, and you're also able to use channel points to hinder the playthrough, and don't do that, please.
Do it.
So I guess very quickly
Yeah, I
we
was
can
gonna
say.
say
No,
while you
please.
grab that, like wrap this up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, very quickly we can say like so from the Magic the Gathering side of things, we noticed that this was a problem. Again, around 2016 or whatever, we do lore coverage a lot, and when we cover the Magic lore, we used to cover it when it was written by the in-house story team that worked for Wizards of the Coast, helped produce the cards, and worked with R&D who made the cards to also make the story.
Okay.
But
Now they slowly over time it was like, oh, that person who used to work for the story team left, and that person got fired, and that person got fired, and now the stories are being written by one person instead of like each story was a different, like they would have teams of like 5 to 10 people
Yeah.
who would write these stories.
Right.
And it would be for each Magic set that was released there would be 16 stories. Now there are 5 main stories, 5 side stories, and it used to be that every story was released every Wednesday. You'd get a new story for 16 weeks, 32 weeks, which means that you would have, when the next set came out, would be the week after the last story finished.
Okay.
Now, there are 10 stories that are released that are the same length as the previous ones, but there's drastically less, and 10 stories are released in 5 days.
Wow. That's
And-
not a great release strategy.
And they are no, it's super frustrating for making content for. I
Oh,
promise
well,
you
I'm
that.
sure that too.
I don't know that there is a great strategy at all.
Strategy implies thinking.
Yeah. But
Doesn't seem to be a lot of that going around.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Chris
All
Cox,
all of their strategies are not great.
yeah. Chris Cox was like, "Wait, we have an in-house story team that does this, but when we make art for our cards, we pay an artist money to make art for one card. We license that, we take their art that they make, we pay them for it, and then they go away. So what we should do is do that with the stories. You bring these people in, you give them some stories to read and go, here, this is the material that you have to read.
Yep.
Now make a story with our characters in it. We'll pay you to write these 5 stories. We'll pay someone else to write the other 5 stories, and then you can go away.
These
And we don't have to-
continuity
And then- yeah, and then you
legal
don't have-
stories.
Yep.
Yeah, then you don't have the continuity. You don't have consistency of like tone
Characterization
necessarily.
is-
characterization.
Characterization
Oh God,
is awful.
Awful.
I can't. Yeah, and
Consistency is not there.
it reminds me of like the Star Wars Legends era of novels, where there were some authors that were just like, "What are you doing
Yeah.
with these characters?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?"
Chewbacca got squished by a moon.
And then that
That
stuff is
story
canon.
was all right.
No, the story was
Hold on,
very
hold on.
good.
That story was
but
good. The characterization was good in that. The next couple where Han gets really depressed, paints the Falcon black, and goes and fucks off and does his own thing for a while is bad characterization.
Yeah.
because Chewie got squished by a fucking moon, okay? It was bad
Depressed?
times and nobody liked it.
Depressed,
I'm glad
fine.
it's not
Listening
legal.
to My Chemical Romance, painting the Falcon black, not as much.
But yeah, if you think about it for a minute, why would you get rid of the in-house story team and pay someone from outside? It's obviously money, but the main thing is it's money. It's money because you don't have to pay benefits or a salary. It's just you pay for those 5 stories
You pay the contracted,
and
then-
they're gone.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
it. It's a contract price and they go away.
you pay the $10.99.
Yeah. And Hasbro goes, "Oh my God, Wizards of the Coast made so much money. Please be our CEO now."
Yeah.
That was it.
That's what happened, guys. Isn't it great? Capitalism.
So unfortunately, welcome to our nightmare, everybody. All the D and honestly, I will say, you guys have for D&D fans, which we are one, but D&D fans have it worse, I think, in this case, because we can still make fan content around Wizard stuff and say this ain't great, and talk about it, and still thank you, I guess, for this opportunity.
Right.
We are still quarterly sponsored by them for their releases on Magic the Gathering Arena, which we are super grateful for, and we are allowed to exercise free speech in a private
Yeah.
location, so it's not
Right.
exactly that, but still,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can talk about how we
Our
don't love.
content.
Yeah, we can talk
Well,
about how
some-
we
some
don't
of the
love
things
what
that
they're
they do,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to something super in depth as to how this is gonna go and like how it came to be, whatever. Stay tuned for the CoffeeZilla report.
Yeah, yeah.
We always love having you guys on, and we really look forward to further coverage of this, as this is a leak. So this is not, word is law, legal documents signed, this and that and the other. There's still, to Doc Brown it, there's still time, Marty. You can still fix the future. I know Love Alec posted in his Discord that there is a way to make your displeasure voiced. There are ways to contact Wizards of the Coast.
You can give them a phone call.
Don't just boycott them. Call them. Email them if you can. But in all things, when you reach out to Wizards of the Coast in regards to this, vulgarity, immediately get your letter tossed to the side.
Nope.
Yeah.
Being incredibly terse or incredibly just difficult with how you go about writing things also gets it ignored. In fact, finding a standardized letterhead, and maybe tomorrow we do that on the weekend Wednesday where we all get everybody to get the same letterhead together and we all send it, or we all call in at the same time to make our voices heard. This can be reported on, this can be cited, and this can be acknowledged. It doesn't mean it's going to make a difference, but we can still try. And we will.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that they're just going to keep pushing that envelope as far as they can possibly push it.
Yeah,
So
and
if this is scaring anybody, please say something, because
they will push, and that's why it's important for everyone who can to push back.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'm surprised, happily so, at how much this has been trending. Because I truly think that with Magic, it happens often. You get to a moment where they're like, okay, there is a vocal minority who's very upset by this, but guess what? A new thing's going to happen tomorrow, and they'll be upset about that, and they'll forget about the first thing. This is seemingly not going away. So I'm looking forward to them having to respond to this, because I feel like that's where we will at least find out where it goes next. Hopefully some type of a resolution that is amenable for everybody.
hopefully.
Hopefully.
We look forward to having you guys on as this story develops and in the future. You are also our first guest hosts of 2023, and you are therefore entered, and by that I mean held under gunpoint, that you will be presenting at the Nerdies in 2023. So look forward to their involvement in some way or another. But
Sounds good.
you all voted for a schnack, and the mystery box, it could be anything. It could even be a boat.
Dude, Icarus said there's Pepsi in there.
There isn't this time.
Good. I'd have to hit you.
But I do know that one amongst us has a whole channel dedicated to a food intolerance. And so I got Amy gluten-free Oreos.
Yes.
I do also have, those are for you, Amy. Please take those home because I don't know what those taste like, and I don't think
No,
they
but
will
that's
go.
the thrill of doing it on nerd glasses. is, I don't know what this is going to taste like, but we have gummy Lunchables.
Oh boy.
So,
Wow.
They were
in
awful.
fairness, in fairness, that Amy doesn't have to share those with us here on air. I did read a news story that Xbox was pairing with Oreos. And I read that they were releasing exclusive shapes and DLC for Halo Infinite, Forza 5, and Sea of Thieves. And so I looked into it, and I found out that there's sleeves that have a certain order of button presses on the codes that you get that tells you what the content is you get. And then I read a little further and found out that it's in the EU only! You piece of shit! So instead, we're having Oreos where it's all chocolate. Because you have shit the bed on us, Microsoft.
Why would you do that to me? You know I'm an Xbox person.
Because I got so angry that I could have had more Sea of Thieves and Sea of Thieves Oreo content. And then I found out that I just need to blow up Kerps and Anticlaus Prime and all of our other friends overseas. None of these, in tribute to Love Alec, none of these are double stuff. So Alec would partake in these if he had any. But Steve,
mine
if you'd like to
doesn't
have...
have a cool
No,
rip-away
it
thing.
sure
It's
doesn't.
just-
Oh, wow. These are
You
just
have
the
to open it.
old-fashioned
Sucks to be
style.
you, I
Wait,
guess.
yes, it does.
It does?
Yeah, the arrow's
Where?
right there. I ate too many fucking Oreos
yeah, it's like
that I
it's white on
immediately
white.
I don't
spotted.
see that.
It's white on white. There's just no cutout. It's like, it looks
I
really...
immediately spotted the pull tabaroo, and just an interest that I don't.
There you go.
Amy's not deathly allergic. Like, we can have the Oreos
Yeah.
and eat them
Yeah.
around
Yeah,
her.
for
By the
sure.
way, not just for the sake of the program
Yeah,
being
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
well, Amy!
No, I mean, I wanted to get them like getting
It's
in
white
there.
on
Yeah, I
white.
can see it now. Yeah.
I ate too many fucking Oreos. This is
Oh my
like,
gosh.
A couple of these.
Amy, if you want to share the gluten-free ones, you are welcome to. But if you don't want to, those are exclusively a gift for you. Joe can't
thank
have any.
you.
Yeah.
Joe is allowed none. Emma can have as many as she wants.
All right.
We're gonna, Joe. Here are two around the gluten-free ones. Not gonna hold them over the
over the... Sprinkle them over the top.
Or
Salt Bay it.
Yeah. So bad.
Contactless.
By the way, what's in the mystery box every week? One week it was an onion, and I took it home, and you guys didn't vote for it, so I'm just saying.
Oh. We have both eaten onions on camera
Yeah.
before for
Yeah.
our content. So yeah, it happens.
There was one week I put the onion in the mystery box in front of Steve, and he didn't realize the whole time because I was crinkling wrappers with another
Am I
hand.
supposed to eat? Are we supposed to eat at the
Go
same
for
time?
it.
I mean, you can. I usually for
I don't know how you
ASMR
do it.
purposes just kind of crunch on it very loudly. So I'm going to
Thank
do
God
that.
we don't have the headsets anymore.
That's the only part of the microphones I'm going to miss.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Don't. Oh God.
You're good at this.
She sits close to our mic during our streams too.
Wonderful.
The amount of times, by the way, when watching Boulder and I, obviously Twitch streamers, we have a lot of things. We have a lot of tools that help us with chat and things like that. YouTube live streaming, not to sling mud, not as many features
For
as
sure.
we cushioningly have here on Twitch. For
sure.
So I'm not gonna lie, the amount of times if Amy gets up to go to the bathroom or do something, and Joe, you're in the middle of a thing, I'm literally like, someone read my clever comment. Where's Amy?
I come back and read it.
My shark joke is being unread.
Well, I really we just don't often have milk around the house. Dunking in milk is real nice.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I can't help but notice that you guys aren't dunking by putting your whole fucking hand in the milk.
No, I don't do
and
that.
then dipping
I
it.
do.
That's
I
fair.
do. The entire thing goes in. It's
Savagery.
It's what you do with someone who's annoying you too much. Dunk it till the bubbles stop.
If I had okay,
I need a little bit of the milk.
if I had a spoon, I would be doing that so that I could then take it out. I just don't. I don't want milk all over my hands, but that's just me.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank
This
you
was-
guys for having us. This is
It was
awesome.
great to have you on. It was cool to because you guys are so immersed in Wizards and what they've done before.
Yes.
and this is one that you've been
They've
following.
done.
Yeah.
And what they're doing. So it was really great to have you guys on. I knew as soon as I was told that you would be on tonight that I'm like, all right, I don't have to, look up all the numbers and all the exact quotes and everything.
Yep.
That you guys would have it. So thank you so much. It's always great having you guys on here. And thank you everybody for watching. Make sure that you are following us on Discord because I realized about halfway through that I didn't actually bring up the news story about YouTube's new guidelines over profanity and violence that's making the rounds in the
Yeah,
last week.
I heard about that as well.
So I'm gonna post what I had in the Table Topics channel on Discord. So make sure that you stick around on Discord to see that and participate in that discussion. And Dave might take a picture of the page of stuff he didn't get to yet and post that as well.
This week they start. You've been warned.
He was telling me a lot of the topics that he had, and they sounded really interesting. So I look forward to those being posted, trying to decipher his handwriting and talking about them. So.
By the way, make sure to keep it tuned in right here to Insane Games TV because after Nerd Glasses, we take off the glasses and we go back to the shack, hosted by Steve, and he is going to be. You're very close to the end of
I
CarQuest.
have no idea if I am.
I feel like after watching this week after week after week, you're getting close to the end because the plot really has arced and is now coming around where you're gonna get the full end of the story.
You're right. He is getting near the end of Act 1. We have no idea. By the way, thank you, Steve, for letting us go overtime and into where the shack would normally start.
We're gonna buy Steve something in the future that he can like a confetti thing or something like that. That's the wrap that shit up.
He
Start,
just got a
start
couple
playing
of,
the music and the hook.
Yeah,
Get
he
the
just.
hook.
Oh yeah, he's just gonna start playing whatever the medley was at the Game Awards to start playing us off. He just got a couple of Nerf guns too, so.
I got ones that whistle.
Just got a couple of Nerf guns. If you ever try to fuck with Insane Games in a Nerf battle, you, sir, are unprepared. Okay?
Yep, it's true. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you again to Joe and Amy. I know that Steve posted a bunch of their links into chat, but if you guys just want to say really quick where people can find you.
It is youtube.com/geekforall or @geekforall. They have the new @ thing now.
Yeah.
It's @geek4all, @videogames4all, and @glutenfree4all. So, and obviously, as always, thank you guys for having us. It's always a pleasure.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you guys so much.
And thank
Pleasure
you.
to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, good job, Dave. We did another one. Thank you, Steve, for your hard work in putting this together as you do every
To
week.
our producer extraordinaire,
For
Steve,
sure. Yeah.
And
for
thank you
finally
everybody for-
banishing those accursed headsets.
and thank you for watching. We will see you next week right here for the Nerd Glasses podcast, 7:45 Eastern. I've been Boater,
I've been Dave Mann.
I'm Joe.
I'm Amy.
and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.